Hey everyone, welcome to this video tutorial. We are walking through paper 2 from 2019 and with examiner commentary. Now both of these are available on the AQA website and I've also popped the link down below. Massive thank you for watching. If you have got any questions and you want to pop me a link, you can do. So let's have a little look at this paper then. So it is a 2-hour paper. And as with all the A-level Sociology AQA papers, you will be answering 6 questions on each. Okay, for this paper, you must also have the AQA 16-page answer book. So it's different from paper 1 and paper 3. This one, you choose what you are answering. So all the questions from one topic in section A and all the questions from one topic in section B. Feedback from this paper was that most students did do that and they didn't answer more than one topic in section A or section B. The most popular topics continue to be the family and households in section A and beliefs in society in section B. So this video tutorial is going to focus on those. Make sure that you are doing all rough work in your booklet, in your answer book, and cross out any work you don't want to be marked. It has been mentioned quite a few times that the examiners are pleased when students do plan their answers. The maximum mark for this paper is 80. Questions should be answered in continuous prose, so basically they are 10 mark and 20 mark and they are essay style. Make sure you're using good English, organise your information clearly, so that's where your plans come in, and specialist vocabulary. So that means that you are using as many sociological concepts, keywords, theories, ideas as possible. So I'm going to give you a little bit further guidance about this paper. So this paper has only 3 styles of questions: a 10-mark outline and explain 2, a 10-mark apply from the item, analyse 2, and a 20-mark apply from the item, evaluate. So each page in the paper will look very similar because they will follow the same structure. Top tips for answering the 10-mark. Now, there was feedback that a small minority of students were still writing introductions and conclusions. They're not necessary and they will cost you time. The word to is put in bold for both 10 markers. This means that the answers require 2 paragraphs. Some answers, some students only wrote 1 paragraph, some just kept writing and it wasn't very clear about how many points they were making. It is useful to start each paragraph with one way is or one reason is, and then start the next paragraph on a new line to clearly indicate that you are doing your 2 clear paragraphs. Guidance on the outline and explain. So that's the first 10 marker that you will see. Don't rely on just reciting knowledge. These questions are designed to bring your sociological knowledge and apply it in a way that you are unlikely to have done so before. So in order to prepare for these, make cross-topic links if you can. So look at past question papers, see what they're doing there, and have a go at looking for links between topics that you might not have done so clearly in class. Your second 10 marker is an outline using the item. Make sure that you clearly indicate the item use, preferably quote the item. The best answers were focused, they clearly started with a stated point, they developed it, they used sociological concepts, studies and evidence and theory as appropriate. Looking at the 20 marker, the timing seemed to be an issue, especially with the second 20 mark that was either brief or incomplete for some students. There was small evidence of planning, and they are recommending that you should be planning your answers. Questions are designed to draw upon a wide range of material, so students need to carefully choose the content and plan their answers. Better answers referred to both empirical research, so your studies, and theoretical perspectives. Using the item is quite useful, but students must refer to a wider range of knowledge and ideas if they wish to score highly. So let's go to topic A2, which is family and households, as this is one of the most popular topics from section A. So like I mentioned before already, there will be 2 10 markers. The first one will be an outline and explain. And what you need to do on this one is to make sure that you are giving 2 clear paragraphs. And it was looking for the ways in which an ageing population led to policies that affect families and household today. Now, this question was seen as being quite challenging for some students, as they were unsure how to relate the ageing population to policies affecting families. However, there are some very good answers. Now, one of the misconceptions is that you needed to have very detailed knowledge of the policies, and it isn't the case. The question was asking you for the way in which it has led to policies. So the better answers focused on how many families had been affected by policies. So some questions answered considered retirement age, and how this might affect grandparents as being the carers of grandchildren, or impacting social care, for example, and whose responsibility is that, or even the effect on women looking after children and ageing parents as well. There were some really good answers here, and some answers did struggle with the connection between an ageing population and policies. Okay, with that 10 marker, you should be spending 15 minutes on it, and remember, no intro and no conclusion. The second 10 marker was looking at applying material from the item. It tells you it 3 times to do it. Analyse 2 ways. Okay, now students that just wrote about the changing patterns of marriage and divorce will not have scored very, very highly. Likewise, if you did not refer to the item, you are not going to score higher than 3 marks. Your popularised item use was about the lone parent families, and students were able to link this to the new rights view and how some children might be inadequately socialised, which is leading to a negative experience of childhood. And then the second point could have been serial monogamy, and how this idea about marriage, remarriage, reconstituted families will then also affect the experience of childhood, how they might adapt to divorce, for example, or having an extended family with step relatives and so on. Likewise, your less successful answers just focused on the first part of the question and didn't address the second part on how it affected the experience of childhood. Again, another 10 marker, you should be spending 15 minutes on this to answer. Now, this final 20 marker from the family section is a 20 marker that you're spending 30 minutes to answer. Remember, you should be planning your answers because these can be answered in a broad way. Now, your most successful answers showed good knowledge of a range of issues related to gender and the family. They used the item as a starting point. It often meant that they could write about a wider range of empirical knowledge, such as related to paid employment, power, gender roles and relationships. You could refer to domestic violence, as well as your knowledge of the different strands of feminism as well. The less successful answers did just go through the list of the different theories with learned criticisms, which then meant they lost sight of the question, which was to refer to some empirical evidence looking at research findings and studies about the role of the family in today's society. So that whole section should take you an hour. So after an hour, you should be moving on to your section B. So turning to section B, you can see that it is structured in exactly the same way as the topics in section A. You've got 2 10 markers, 1 without an item and 1 with, and a 20 marker. We're looking at B1 because that is the most popular topic out of section B, beliefs in society. So we start off with an outline and explain. And what you need to do on this one is give 2 paragraphs of 2 of the ways. Now, these questions are asking you to make cross-topic links. So here we are looking at what the way in which a church, and give knowledge of what that church might be and how it is acting as a conservative force. Now, what is noted on the examiner report is that this term conservative force was often sometimes misinterpreted by a small minority of students as referring to social change. So just make sure that we know the difference between the two. And a few answers had 2 ways which were almost indistinguishable. So such as churches creating a sense of belonging and social solidarity, Other answers gave 2 examples of only one way, so they often give one way and then 2 examples across 2 paragraphs. Most students were able to answer the question very well though, and were able to apply a range of sociological ideas from different theoretical perspectives. So for example, they might have referred to the conservative force from functionalist or maybe from feminist. Looking at question 14, this is your 10 marker with an item, and you should be spending 15 minutes to answer this, to give 2 clear paragraphs developed from the item hook. It tells you it 3 times to do so. So this question was generally answered quite well, even though sometimes the item was not referenced effectively, and that meant that they were not credited for which the knowledge gave them potential. So what you were looking for here was that the spread of the worldwide view based on science and rationality, this increase in the belief system of science and rationality being spread is leading to a rejection of religious-based beliefs, would have been one hook. And some places have rejected this worldview, e.g. science and rationality, and revitalised religious traditions. Some answers did reference the rise in religious fundamentalism as a response to globalisation and the process within it, but generally answered quite well. Your final question is question 15, which is your 20 marker. Now remember, this answer was not the best because students often ran out of time, and some answers showed did good knowledge and understanding, but they were too brief and underdeveloped to acquire the best marks. So with this question, you had to apply it from the item and your knowledge, and it's looking at the explanations to do with gender and beliefs and practices, which I believe that some students will have probably answered really quite well if they did have the time to do so. Your better answers were strong on examples of beliefs and practices related to gender, focusing on women, and the majority of answers focused on feminist views and compared those with other perspectives. The best responses combined these 2 approaches and discussed the relationship between men and religion, considering the examples of why men participate in religion less than women as well. So overall, this is a 2-hour paper. You need to spend an hour on each section A and section B, planning your answers to make sure that you answer them effectively. A final point that you should note is that you do not need to answer them in the order that the questions appear to you on the question paper. You can answer them in any order, just as long as you clearly indicate what answer and what question you're answering as you go along. So massive thank you for watching. If you've got any questions, please let me know in the comments below. And if you keep tuned, I will be doing paper 3 very shortly. Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.